Uh, Better now?
Yeah, yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
Okay, Renek, so could you just brief me a brief introduction about yourself and what technology stack you're using in your current project only, and a brief introduction about the project also, and what role you are playing in that.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm currently working in TCS for the last 5.5 years now, and we are actually working for JD Williams, which is a UK-based retail account. And here my responsibilities are like I'm actually a backend developer, so developing the functionalities for our client as well as fixing the bugs. And also we are actually following agile, so we need to discuss about the resources means what they want, and we will actually do summarize them into a story and pick it up by in our team. So that is mainly we are done, and also like unit testing is also we do. And for my technical stats, I'm actually Java backend developer, and we are using Spring Boot microservice here. And for like service to service communication, we are using Kafka. Apart from that, for versioning, we are using Git. And also like for JUnit, means for unit testing, we are using JUnit with Mockito framework. And also building and testing purpose, we are using the Docker containers for building, and also like we are using Jenkins also for building the pipelines. Yeah, that is like pretty much it. And
So you are writing the pipeline also,
no,
or it's
actually we actually using the pipeline. There is a separate team, there is a platform team, so we actually does the means Jenkins
you are
script.
managing the Jenkins
Yeah,
tool like
actually, yeah.
deploying?
Yeah, only what we are doing, we are actually pushing our code into a branch, means a Git branch. Then automatically the pipelines actually means actually build the code and create the artifact and push that into the Docker hub.
So Renek, from starting you are working in the same project, I mean.
Yeah, project is basically the same because like from 5 years.
I mean, actually, whatever you mentioned, these are very new things. So I'm assuming the client has recently migrated to.
Yes. Basically, previously, what we are doing, we are actually there is a monolithic architecture that we are working on, the same for the same client. That was previously on Hybris. Okay, so now actually we are migrating into microservice, means we are actually dividing into smaller parts and smaller service. So that is actually currently we are going through.
Okay, so you have same story with me. So actually, I also working the same kind of thing. We had a
Okay.
monolithic application and recently migrated. Okay, so can you tell me like how the discovery thing is working in your project, like service discovery?
Yes, service discovery for that we are actually using the Eureka for that. So we have like one Eureka server. From there we can actually see what all the services are running, and in means in which port they are running, they are healthy or not. So that thing actually there in the Eureka means we have created one Eureka server, and we actually connected with the API gateway with that, and from the API gateway we actually getting all the like all the services.
So can you tell me like suppose if you are just making a new API and API as in like full application basically,
Okay.
microservice, and you want to register it with your Eureka. So how we can do that?
So mainly what you can do that for registering into Eureka, you need to add the means dependency of Eureka client over there in your service, and you need to mention that where it's actually connected, means you need to mention in the application.yml file that Eureka fetch registry as false and registered with Eureka as false, and that is connected with the API gateway. Means whenever you are actually means calling the service, you are actually creating that from the API, means you are calling from the API gateway, and API gateway is actually linked up the Eureka server. So whenever you have done the configuration in the API gateway level with us with the new service, it will actually fetch that service into Eureka.
Okay, and how are you are like managing the authentication part?
Yeah, managing the authentication, actually we are using the Spring Boot security, Spring Security, sorry. So mainly that part I actually not worked on, but I know means how the security is flowing.
Okay, no issue. No, but I mean, I'm impressed with your profile. I mean, because seeing at your experience, you got a good opportunity to work on the latest technologies, I will say.
Yeah, actually,
So,
the thing is like I means for like a DB purpose, we are actually using the AWS Dynamo DB as well. There's a NoSQL DB, and I have actually, honestly speaking, I have actually not much exposure into means like MySQL database, like the relational database. I actually not exposed much, so that thing I want to learn. Uh, previously,
You're like, so
previously I
you are
have,
working.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, previously it was like the Oracle database that we are using in Hybris time. Here we also like have the relational DB as well. We are actually using the Postgres that is actually consist of like one service, but mainly we are using like the AWS DynamoDB for storing our data. There is a NoSQL DB.
Okay, I think that's good. I mean, actually, people generally prefer this NoSQL only because
Yeah,
of
actually it's a good.
it's
It's
such
good.
a
It's good. We don't have to create anything. It's a very much easy process, I think.
okay. Okay, then let's start with Code Java. Can you share your screen and open Notepad, please?
Yes.
So you have experience working Java 8.
Yes, Java. Just a moment.
So currently in this city you are?
Currently, I am in Kolkata.
Okay.
Sorry, that. Yeah.
So I have just have a list of employees, suppose, and I want a final list which has the name of the employee that starts with G and they have a salary greater than 10,000.
Name starts with G and the salary is greater than 10,000.
How?
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So, means just I'm not copying this thing. Just a moment. Okay. Okay, fine. List of employees you have. Name start with G and salary of greater than 10,000. Okay. Okay. So for that, is your EMP list. You can do by the stream operator. Simply stream. Then you want G. Okay. You have to filter. In filter, what you have to do is take that E. Uh, E. Then E dot get name, suppose. Um, get name dot get sorry, 0
You can use optional method also, like starts with.
sorry.
Saying that you can use optional method also, like starts with.
uh, Optional, like the optional keyword that we use in Java, right?
Yeah, so it has some methods, right? I mean, it provides some methods. So it has some method. It has one method called starts with. You can directly use start with, and you can put the character. I mean, just a suggestion. I mean, but
Okay,
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 go ahead.
okay, okay. I'm sorry for that.
No, 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 no issue.
Starts with G and E dot salary. Get salary is greater than 10K. Then you have to like dot collect. You need to have like collectors. I think this is the one, collectors. Dot to list or to set, you can do that. So that is like the thing. Yeah, you will get a list of employees here, a new list of employees.
Yeah, fine, correct. Can you tell me the output of this program?
Output of this program.
Ah,
Oh, sorry,
no, no,
sorry,
I
sorry,
just
sorry,
posted
sorry,
it.
sorry, 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 sorry. Add system. Okay. Plus P subtract subtract system. Okay. Okay. Now we are creating one class A with a new object of class B. Okay. One by one. A new object of B. B. Okay. A with a new class B. B is this one, and you have like one add entire B. Okay. A dot add. It will call this one B. Then A dot subtract. A dot subtract. It will again print B. Then B. Class B. Class B is a class B only. Okay. Class B is class B. Class B is a class B. Class B dot add is a B. B dot subtract. Just a moment.
Getting all B causes some suspicious, right?
No, it's this is the parent class, class A, which I have like add method. Here you are printing A. Now you are extending that A into a class B, and you are overriding that method add into this one, and then you are creating the object of class B basically. Then you A dot add, this will actually call this one, this add, this will actually print B. Then A dot subtract, it actually call this one because it's a object of class B. Then it will actually print again B subtract. Now
Okay.
class B again class, this is the class, this is the object of class B, and this is the class already A, means the instance variable.
Okay. One second,
So
one second. So, what is upcasting inheritance?
sorry,
What is upcasting inheritance?
upcasting.
Yeah, upcast inheritance. So, like when you write this, like the statement class A equal new of class B, what does it mean?
It's actually creating the object as class B, means your this object is being created.
Correct. Okay. And what is inheritance means?
Inheritance means you are actually inheriting the means this is the parent class, and you are inheriting the properties of A into class B. So that is like
Okay.
the
That means
inheritance.
you are inheriting the properties and method of class A into B, right?
A
But
into
on
B.
right, huh? So on in line number 22, when you're writing A dot subtract,
A,
that means A dot subtract.
yeah, actually this is means this actually I am having the doubt. Only this line on line number 22 I have the doubt, because it doesn't have like subtract method in class A. So I think it will actually not means you will not get, I think, means problem. All this 23, 24 and 21 I am actually very much sure, but I am actually confused in this one.
Okay, so the thing is, like parent have no visibility on the child. You can say method or attributes. So on 22 you will get compile time error because
I think so. Yes, actually you're right. Compile time error will be there because I don't have like in class A. Class A is a parent class, but we are actually creating the object of class B. But class A doesn't have like subtract method in it, so it will actually, yeah.
okay, if I make that in class A and class B, the add method is there, right? Just make them static. Suppose public static void add static, and in B class also public static void add. Yeah. Okay. Now what will be the output? Just ignore that subtract one. Okay.
Okay. Uh, Just a moment. Right now. I think I'm a bit confused. Uh, Static method add. Whatever I think you cannot have like static method. You cannot actually override that static method. But static method basically it belongs to the class, not the object. Uh, so I
So we
think
cannot override it.
yes.
I mean, so are you saying that I will be getting errors in the main method, right?
The main method you will get the yes.
Okay. Okay. You heard about this concept called method hiding?
Actually, I heard about it, but I don't remember it right now. But yeah, method hiding. I actually heard about that term.
Okay. So basically, it won't throw any error. It just is not overriding. It is what is happening basically, like you said, like a static belong to a class. So when you are writing that a dot add method, since a has that method add, right? So
Hmm.
it will be printing the a because the static belong to a
Okay.
class, and using
Right,
class you are
right.
calling its method.
Okay.
So it is possible, but it's just that it is not overriding. So this is like method hiding.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, got
Okay.
you.
Like.
Yeah, got everything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me like what's the difference between final and immutable?
Final, final is a keyword, and immutable. Uh, Immutable actually can. Immutable is like whenever you have like defined something that you cannot change, or immutable. Let's say immutable class. Now for the immutable class, they cannot do a subclass. Cannot you create one subclass for that? Also, you cannot change the property of that class because everything is final. You cannot extend that. You cannot make the subclass. And final is basically that. Final is a keyword basically, and it's actually whenever you are doing some variable as final. Whenever you have initialized that variable, that cannot be changed.
Okay. So okay. So suppose in collection, okay.
Okay.
If I have a collection array list, it has some element, okay, one, two, three, suppose. And if I want to make it as a final, I mean to behave like a final. So how I can do that?
Collection you want to make as a final.
Yeah, but I don't want to use the keyword final.
The collection you have like integers.
Yes. I mean, it can store heterogeneous, right? So
Yeah,
then I
collection
have
can
to define
actually,
any
yeah,
generic.
yeah, collection actually can store heterogeneous. You want to make that collection as final, or you want to make
I,
the
I don't I
variable?
don't anyone to change that collection. So how I can do that? Yes, not a complex thing. Okay. So we have like you know about this collection, right? Like
Yes,
collection and
yes.
collections.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
you class have one method which is called unmodifiable. So using
Okay,
that you can make that. So no one can modify it down the line. Okay.
okay. Actually, never actually. Yeah, I'll Google that after
So
this.
this question comes actually where because nowadays we do hardly use any primitive types. We generally go with collection directly, right?
Yes.
You're aware about race condition and multi-threading?
No, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. No issue, no issue. About the synchronized keyword, I mean,
Yeah,
where we use.
synchronized keyword I know.
Okay, so what is it exactly?
So synchronized keyword actually suggests that whenever you have like in multi-threaded environment, so if one thread actually goes into that method, that synchronized method, so other thread have to wait until and unless that thread actually completes the execution process of that method. Just likely, I'm giving one example. Let's say for the singleton class. So in the singleton class, we have like one public static method, that is the get instance method, where we are actually checking that if the instance of the class is null or not, then only we are actually
Right.
creating one, means we are
Yes.
actually creating by the new operator one object, then we are actually returning that instance. Now in case of like whenever we are using like normal method, not the synchronized method, then what, when two threads comes into the picture, they actually get the get the instance as firstly null, then it will actually create two different object for that singleton class. So this is wrong. For that, for a singleton class, we are actually using that synchronized method. So whenever one thread actually comes in, other thread have to wait. Then whenever that thread comes in, that thread actually got the value of the, that is not null.
You picked a very good example, and actually you just whatever the solution you provided now, the problem for that is called as race condition.
Oh, okay,
To
okay,
fix that, we you go with that concept. Okay, great.
okay.
Okay. So about concurrent modification exception, can you tell me like in which scenario it occurs?
Yeah, concurrent modification exception it occurs on the hash map basically. Whenever let's say you are getting the value, and as well as like you are modifying that value. So at that time it will
If,
actually throw the error, that concurrent modification exception.
okay,
Means
so
you are
I mean we can get
reading
that.
from the hash map, then also you are updating into that hash map.
So you're saying that only in Hashman we can get that, but not in
No,
Redux or
actually, you can actually get that, but recently I got in the hash map, so I actually told you the exam means actually told you that
yeah.
this
So
one.
it
Just
can
recently
happen
I have got
anywhere.
that.
It does. So can you know like how this happened? I mean, why this error comes at suddenly content modification?
Uh,
I mean, what's the triggering point? Whoa.
mm,
I mean, we know that now if while iterating, if we try to modify it,
yes.
we get this. So you know the how internally. I mean, this error come. I mean, how it found this out. Okay, something is wrong, and just throw this error.
Honestly speaking, I exactly don't know, but
Okay, no issue, no issue. Okay. So just to tell you, I mean, whenever you're doing that dot next, right? While iteration after iteration,
mhm.
we have a method called it dot next.
Yes.
Every time you this next method, basically it checks for a count. There is a modification count, something is there.
Okay,
So while iteration, it gets that count when you like start a iterator,
okay.
and after that, if you while iterating you add or remove anything, so that count will change, right?
Oh,
So at
okay.
that time you will get that error. Okay.
Okay. Is it like the version we have used like in the means we have also used like version. Whenever we are actually saving some entity into a database, we have used version. So whenever the multi-threaded environments comes into, means whenever let's say one thread actually goes into and save that, means we are actually getting from the DB and we are actually saving that. So it's actually going on a multi-threaded environment. So at that time we actually use that version, means whenever like the version, when it got changed and the other thread actually have the previous version, then it will actually throw the error. It is something like that.
Sorry, this concern I'm not aware of, so I cannot confirm.
Okay, that is fine. Sorry for
Okay,
that.
no issue. Can you tell me, like, in this scenario, we get class not found exception and no class definition error?
Which scenario?
Right, just think about it. I mean, class not found exception and no class definition error. Core Java is tricky.
Yeah. Class not found. I think it's basically it's on the compile time when you are compiling, and the class not found exception actually occurred whenever you have not set at the build path.
You were correct, okay.
Um, no class definition found. That thing, I think in that whenever we are doing likely build the, let's say I'm actually building the Spring Boot application with the Maven clean build, and in the target folder we have actually get all the dependencies, all the generated resources and generated annotations So from that, if
That will
nothing,
be that will be class not form because
okay, okay, okay.
it won't be finding that at compile time even you will get that error.
Yes,
So
yes,
no
yes.
class definition is like a runtime. Like suppose you just compiled any class
Okay,
and someone goes and remove that dot class file,
okay.
then you will be getting this no class definition error.
Uh, okay, 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 okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's. Can you describe me the architecture of the project, like how the flow is? Suppose that
Yes.
requirement comes.
Yes, yes. So basically, I'm actually into product squad. As I have told you, like previously, we have like one whole monolithic architecture. Now, actually, we are dividing into several squads. Basically, so we have like product squad, we have like order squad, we have like promotion squad as well. So I'm into product squad. So product squad actually takes means actually creating the products for our client and also show it to our PDP. Even though the UI design actually not yet built up, but we are actually getting all the information from our client that which what are the base product that you have to save for like which environments we have like different sets of environment. One we have like developer environment, one we have like QA environment, one we have like prod environment. So we got some feed as like a JSON. Just I'm giving you one scenario of our application. So we'll get a feed that actually consists of uh, like several attributes, and from that what we are doing, we're actually creating the SKU product document as well as like base product document as save into a DB. And then we can actually search those product, we can actually update the selling price, update the cost price, update the whole product structure as well. And also recently we have actually implemented the grouping part. Grouping basically it does means the business logic is like you have put some, let's say, two product, you want to group them together to show it to a PDP. Means whenever we are getting like in our app, means the normal scenario I'm getting that you have clicked on Amazon and let's search for one product, then you have like all similar kind of products that you have that suggested. So that is the part of the grouping. So we actually grouped some product with some product. There is basically the similar product that we want to show into PDP. So basically that was the goal. So for that, what we are doing, we're actually getting the two product we have already previously saved product, and then we are actually getting like the base product number. There, those we have to group. Then we are actually checking, means various conditions are there, like the CPT name should be same, like many
Yes,
many
sir.
many logics are there. So that part also we are actually doing. Apart from that, we have like the file upload search as well, where we are actually uh, uploading one file, and from that we have like in file we have like sorry.
Okay. No, okay, understood. Okay. Okay. So in your project, like how these REST APIs are communicating? I mean, suppose I have a requirement where from a service layer I have to call another service, a REST API. So
Mhm.
how you are doing that?
So through the REST template we are actually doing that.
Okay. Any experience with Faint Client?
No, sorry.
Okay. Okay. No issue. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me like what's the difference between a request param and path param?
Yeah, request param is suppose like whenever you have put the request param, so it can actually take as well as path variable and the query variable as well. But when you have mentioned that as a path variable, path param, so it will actually take only the path variable that you have given in the endpoint.
Okay. Okay. You are aware about the solid design principle?
Honestly speaking, I read about it,
Okay.
but
Okay.
not remembering it right
So in
now.
microservice, like what design basically principle of what we say. I'm also not able to recall that design principle. Basically, you aware about any of that?
Yeah,
Like,
design principle is basically we are using the API gateway, uh, and also like for microservice.
so
Um,
how the load balancing is done in your project?
honestly speaking, just one server we are actually working on right now. Uh, just not yet like we are using multiple server. but we are actually already done in the code level, that we are actually load balancing from the API gateway. We are actually in the API gateway, in the application.yml file, we have actually created all the routes that is actually that can actually possible with the
So
services.
there are no multiple instances of services running in Eureka.
No, currently not. Multiple server is not there actually right now. We're actually creating
Multiple
on a
I mean, multiple instances, like for example, in your all the microservices, there are 2, 3 microservices for which customer is requesting again and again. There are many hits from the customer. So one instance cannot handle that, right? Because when that instance is down, customer will be start getting errors, right?
yes,
So
yes,
you have
yes.
to create some fallback mechanism, or you heard about circuit breaker?
Yeah, circuit breaker pattern that I know, but exactly the circuit breaker pattern in our application, we actually not yet done that, just because we are actually creating this one server instance, and in that server instance we are actually getting all the microservices are running for now. Not
Anything
yet.
related to Histrec you have used?
Sorry.
Anything related to Histrec?
Yeah, in Histrix mainly I actually know about, but not used it. But Histrix command actually used for the circuit breaker pattern, where you have like the fallback method. That fallback method can be executed whenever there is some error in your method. Let's say one method that you have in your method, you are actually uh, calling calling services like a different service. So another service, actually, let's say another service is down, then you will get that 503 service unavailable error. So at that case, we can actually use like Histrix command, and with the fallback method to get the value. But exactly, I'm not used in our application.
Okay. You should use it and impress your client, because these things are must.
Actually, honestly speaking, I actually means go through the tutorials and I know about these things, but all these things in our application still not done.
Okay. I mean, but these are, I think, kind of must thing actually. I
Yes,
mean, expectation. I mean,
actually, load balancing like the microservices basically means you need to scale the performance. So that is why we are actually using the microservice. But for now, just for the actually, I've told you like we are actually still on a development phase, because everything is not there, and also there is no such UI also present. Previously, UI is present whenever we are doing the hybrid thing. We actually have gone live like simplyb.com, jdwilliams.com, so .uk. So those part actually there, but for now the UI is not there, and also many things is not there actually.
no, sure. Okay, okay. Okay, I mean, I thought just because the project I worked on, I mean, that was a must. I mean, that came from a client itself. Like, we have multiple customers that will be hitting our APIs, so we need multiple instances and a proper load balancing.
Yes, obviously you need to do.
Okay, on Docker, like, what's your role you're doing here for Docker?
Yeah, for Docker, basically, what we are doing, we have like created the one Docker file for that. In each and every microservice have that Docker file. Also, we have like in this instance level, we have that Docker compose file, where we have like all the services are mentioned over there. So whenever we are actually creating the Docker container, uh, we are actually using some commands to like docker ps minus a, and also like docker pull to pull everything from the Docker hub, and also like
It will be like a one-time activity, right? Or every time you are. I just want to understand actually.
no, just the thing I'm actually telling you. So we have like for like we have for local instance, basically local instance is not the local host I'm actually talking about. It's a sandbox we're talking about. Okay, so it's a sandbox instance. What we are doing, we're actually creating the jar. Okay, so in local we actually created the jar, and that jar we are actually putting that into that instance with the WinSCP. We have like the folder structures are present where we have like Docker Compose file. The Docker Compose file is also there, and also we have like one jar folder that we have mentioned in the Docker Compose file that where you should search for the jar. So we are actually putting that jar into that location. Then we are actually building that.
Okay.
Means we are firstly stopping the previous instance, previous image of that jar. Then we are actually building that to create the new functionality, new image. Then we are running, means we are getting that up.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Okay. 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 And I'm done with my interview. You have any questions for me?
Question is like, can you please can I just just a moment.
I just have one feedback. I mean, in core Java, you need to brush up. I mean, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was asking about this. What are the technical person that you want for for your company, and also like what are the projects that you have like.
Okay, if I talk about domain, actually, since actually you will be hired for Atos. So recently, like Atos are acquired Central, and they are acquiring like many companies. Like there's one more in pipeline. I forget his name. Actually, there's a news. Actually, there's a 10 billion deal. So actually, they are now basically North America, Europe. They have got maximum clients in every domain you say. I mean, either you say healthcare, logistics, or I don't think they have on banking, but like on aerospace. I mean, everywhere they have projects. I mean, okay.
Okay.
So about the technology stack you mentioned, like I think you are best suited because these are the only technology stack we are looking for.
Okay.
So I'm very much impressed with the profile. It's just like I will say, just brush up more on core Java
Okay.
because daily time these core Java only helps in our coding, right?
Yes. Yes.
So other than that, everything is good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Nice speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.